Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to GameStar TV for the Blizzard ANZ official HGC qualifiers for Season 3. My name is Kit Fox, and it is an absolute pleasure to be your host for this evening. We have got an action-packed night of esports coming straight at you because these are the best teams in the region at the moment. We've got an amazing production crew on hand tonight. We've got Crisis as your producer. Skimmy will be your play-by-play caster. Vandie is back in the analyst position, and Evexium back as the community manager and admin. Welcome to all the teams that have actually qualified for tonight. And if you are a fledgling team thinking, how do I get involved in this? All you need to do is sign up on Challenge on Tuesday nights. That is when we have the so-called amateur series where you get your chance to qualify to come here and play with the big boys. The games tonight will be a best of 3 series with maps drafted by the teams with the highest seed, and they will get to choose either between the first map ban or the first hero pick. You can't have one and have the other. You can't have your cake and eat it too. And of course, it would not be a GameStar broadcast without giveaways, thanks to Blizzard ANZ. Tonight, we are going to be giving away 4 loot chest codes, and in each of those codes, you receive 12 chests. So 12 chests per winner. Not bad for typing !GS HotS into the Twitch chat right now. We're going to get that bot active. We're going to be drawing those 2 after the first best of 3 and 2 after the second best of 3. We're going to dive straight into the games now. We're going to be bringing you Ethereal Vs Nmd. Just a quick PSA, Malthael is actually banned due to the 2-week competitive ruling, so any team caught playing Malthael will actually forfeit the match, so do not play Malthael. Now I'm going to pass you over to the man responsible for adding a touch of class to your Thursday night. It's a very good evening to the man himself, Skimmy, and he's joined once again by Vandie.
Always a pleasure, Kit Fox. Thanks for the introductions. And Vandie, how are you feeling tonight?
Oh, I'm pretty excited. I'm a bit cold. Melbourne weather's starting to get to me, but these games will warm me up, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, they definitely touch a sweet spot on my heart. But, you know, we were planning to do Trump Sports up against Scripts and Scrubs. Things have changed. We're just waiting now on NMD and Ethereal to sort themselves out. Actually, just waiting on NMD for their map choice. So last-minute selection there. I have got confirmation that NMD banned away Battlefield of Eternity, and Ethereal then went for the Warhead Junction ban, which, I mean, no surprises there.
No, really no surprises there, especially the Warhead. Once again, no one's favourite, not my favourite, nothing like that. Battlefield of Eternity, maybe giving away that they don't feel NMD, they don't feel comfortable on a brawler-centric map or a 2-lane map. Maybe they want to bring out some chi strategies that we've seen around. I'm sure everyone has been following Nomia and the HGC series for mid-season Brawl. It's been exciting times. I want to see if the drafts tonight will be influenced by what we've seen on the international sort of scale.
And it's a good point that you actually bring up there, Vandie, because I say we've seen so many different drafts and clash of metas at the MSB, and given that we've just gone on a brand new patch that went through yesterday, obviously a lot of those changes will affect those MSB drafts, but traditionally speaking, from history, if it's told us anything, teams usually stick to what they've scrimmed on, what they've practiced, and those changes usually take a week or 2 to really fully come into effect.
Correct. They stick to the bread and butter while they try out the new. I have seen quite a lot of thralls running around while people figure out what build to go with him. He looks like he's a solid pick now. He's going to be definitely returning to that bruiser solo lane, and we can expect to see more of him once, as you said, people get adjusted, get used to him being played, and seen a lot of excited Malthaels out there as well, but due to that 2-week competitive ruling, we won't be seeing his face just yet, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, it's always interesting when a new hero comes in and the jurisdiction of people, and be it Reddit or wherever it might be, saying, oh, this hero's trash or this hero's OP, always takes a bit of time for people to sort of figure that all out. So, I mean, especially even when Dahaka got changed, people thinking, oh, Dahaka's not going to come back into the meta, but suddenly Lamborghini Dahaka, and we see how much is being picked on an international stage. It's really proving why it's the flavor.
Exactly. Broom, broom, away he goes. He's just so good. It definitely brings us back to when Dahaka was a highly contended pick. We're seeing Dahaka and as well as, I forgot his name right now, Anubarak. How could I forget the bug himself? We've seen a lot of Anubarak being prioritized as well. So if they're not being picked, they're definitely being banned.
And let's not forget, Vandie, obviously the most popular support in the game for so many patches now, Malthael, arguably nerfed into the dirt. Whether or not teams are still going to play him or try and work things around it. You were saying that Twilight Dream was a bit funny.
Twilight Dream is a very, very little interesting rendition of itself. The channel, you get a small channel time now, and you can also blink into a team. So I have seen some sneaky Malfurians just if they're hiding in the fog of war and bam, next thing you know, he just comes out of nowhere in your silence. The thing is, it has a very, very short radius. I did see a Mouth also try to use it as an escape tool. We all just thought he was AFK for a second until he blinked away, and we kind of killed him because he just bunny hopped. But yeah, he's very interesting. But really, that cleanse removal hitting hard, the mule removal hitting hard, they just really wanted to scale down. Malfurion was doing everything too well, so they needed to give him his weaknesses, essentially.
And we've seen a lot of Uther recently, especially on the global stage, the ability with the Guardian of Ancient Kings. I mean, there's never been a talent that's challenged Cleanse so strongly, and this hero single-handedly is actually challenging the meta, so expect to see a ton of that. Obviously, with Malfurion being changed as well, the likes of Rhaegar, potentially even Brightwing, if we're thinking too far out the box, might be a possibility.
No, definitely. Well said, Skimmy. Couldn't say it any better myself. Uther really stepping up to take that really high prioritization. Guardian, oh, that talent just gives so much value, especially if you're just versing a very heavy melee comp, or even if you're just going a dive-centric comp. Really giving that extra armor on a Greymane, a Genji, turns them from just being a threat into, no, we need to lock this guy down and blow him up. Otherwise, next thing you know, you're all dead.
And it's been very thematic in the sense that we've seen a lot of hyper carry, right? We've seen a ton of double support Valor or even Greymane, but then we've also seen sort of the variation where teams have gone for the double reset potential. So Genji, I mean, he's come out strong. Obviously, people love him from Overwatch. He's achieving the sort of same kinds of frustration, high skill plays as well. But combining Genji with the Li Ming, you're going for the full reset comp or the full hyper carry. Would not be surprised to see a lot of that show some presence here in ANZ tonight.
Correct. They really have gotten that reset synergy in mind. It's all about then drafting, I think as the casters were saying at HGC, an unkillable comp. So that's really where the Tacita, the dual support, where you run one Tacita and then pair him up with another support, can be quite attractive, or even then getting like a very bruiser-centric team where you just have so much damage mitigation as well as high health pools. So if you can't get a reset on those characters, it really does take away a lot of the power in their hands.
Now, we do know that you're a big fan of D.Va, and Ben brought it on the big stage, crushing the Chinese in the 2-0 series, which is awesome for us. But also, this is a map, Vandie. We're on Tales of Doom. We know the hero excels in these sort of choke spots. Do we expect to see some more love? I mean, we saw last week, we had Darksided up against, actually the week beforehand, I believe it was, Darksided with Vekrak playing it against Nomia. And actually, many would argue that Vekrak was the one that pioneered it, but I'm sure Ben himself will claim all the glory.
Vikarak definitely there in the background. He loves D.Va just as much as myself, and definitely he drew eyes when we saw that game. I wouldn't be surprised to see her on Towers of Doom. She really works well in any map where you really have the potential to zone off around an objective. So that's where Infernal Shrines, Towers of Doom, Dragon Char even, now that that's been thrown back into the rotation, all great maps, and they all have that common thing in common objective where you can just zone off that pathway into the objective.
Let's get down to business, Vanny. Looks like these two teams are ready to finally rock on roll. Game number 1 of the playoffs for week 3. Look at that. Time flies when you're having fun. But let's talk about these bans. Obviously, the first priority, it tends to be around Anub'arak, Dahaka, Uther, Genji. And after that, it kind of falls off into the more niche or team-specific bans. Yeah,
definitely. The respect bans, as we call them, that's exactly it. So in seeing what teams are going to ban, it's also then going to indicate to us how they want to run it. So instantly, off the bat, we're seeing that Dahaka ban come out, which shows that they really don't have any indication of picking it for themselves, because they're going to be the first to choose, essentially, after this banning phase.
So this puts them in a bit of a predicament. If you are on the side of NMD, where do you decide to go with the draft? What do you let Ethereal have? What do you feel is best in their hands? A lot of teams have been banning away the Uther, as we mentioned already pre-draft. The fact that he can influence it so heavily. I mean, if he does go Guardian of Ancient Kings, you essentially can't draft a CC comp. And if you don't draft any CC, they can draft heroes that excel because they have CC. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I expect to see with Malfurion changes coming through, Uther falling the sort of same fate later on.
Yeah, definitely. I have to agree with that. So it's going to be, what do they want to pick? What do they value on this map? And they value the global presence. So instantly, both teams respecting that global pressure on Towers of Doom. It really can be all about pressuring the map, because this is more of a late game to mid game map. It's interesting. You can lose the entire first half of the game, but once you hit 10, once you start winning the team fights, you can then take the bell towers, and that's when things get interesting. And global pressure can count a lot on this map.
Well, let's not forget, Vandie, it's an ANZ Classic at the time when there was, I believe, 24 shots in one sitting. You wipe the team in a late game team fight, 3 bell towers already the rock. You push every single bell tower itself, and those altars, well, shots are fired. But there we go, Anubrek, the bug himself is going to be locked on in there. And this now does allow the possibility for Uther as well as Genji to rock on with too.
Exactly. Get that CC down, and then also by getting the Genji and getting the CC, it's then also picking your counters for yourself, essentially. So you're really staying clear of what the other team has to do with, and that's all about draft. It's all about that cat and mouse game, about trying to outguess your opponent and trying to see, okay, if they're going to run the Anubrek, immediately we need an answer to that. Are they going to go Cocoon? Most likely, we need an answer. Naming is a very, very good counter to that in terms of busting out the Cocoon with that Disintegrate. She can really make quick work of that and really nullify the effects of that heroic ability.
Well, let's talk about this, Vandie. This is a very early Johanna. This is not too common to see so early on into the draft. They've gone for the Genji, but the fact they didn't pick up Uther really has me scratching my head. I mean, this is Team NMD. They've got a lot of star players on that squad. We've got the likes of Anagon, Ninja returning, both on pro teams in the past. You've got Hiccup, Physics, even Hux. I mean, all those players at some stage have played either on a competitive team or achieved higher rankings. So this is a bit of a mush of players that have come through for the Open Division, decided to rock up for the playoffs. They performed well. So exciting to see where they go with this and who's playing what role.
It's a star-studded lineup. Definitely some old faces around on a new team, and that's very, very exciting. But yeah, I'm also stumped. By seeing the Genji, I would have thought that they want to get that Uther nice and early, or perhaps they're just waiting to see what else NMD have got up their sleeve. And really, NMD, they're instantly securing their damage. They also don't mind about the Uther. They don't care because they've drafted and opted for that Li Ming instead.
It's so fascinating to see how teams in ANZ not necessarily don't respect, but either they don't feel comfortable or they just don't want to pick up the Uther, given how much love he is receiving on an international level. Li Ming and D.Va are going to be locked on in, so D.Va definitely receiving that love, the ability to control those altars and surround. I mean, you're going to have the Anubrek there with the Web Blast, with the Cocoon, I should say, able to then lock down potentially the support or even Genji itself and then go for that kill target. But D.Va, we've seen in the past, it acts as a big zoning tool, but also allows you to sort of split off a team. So if they have somebody that's going to dive deep like the Genji, he's forced to make decisions. Does he stay deep? Does he back out? Or does he just tank a self-destruct to the face?
Correct. And if you do hear the Dragon Blade coming out, how much value will he get out of that if immediately he has to back away from the D.Va self-destruct, creating that safe zone for NMD? Exactly right. And you did say it, Skimmy, so well done. That's definitely no caster curse here tonight. But Uther being banned. So really, it indicates Ethereal had no indication of wanting to pick Uther. They've got their eye on something else, on another support. Looking at their lineup, maybe we could see a Karazim. There's lots of high health targets currently on there, but I feel like it's a missed opportunity for Ethereal.
I feel as if you're on the side of Ethereal right now, you want to ban away that Tyrael. It just seems far too strong. They decide to go for the Greyman instead, so they do want to take away one of those diving buddies to complement the Genji. But Tyrael, for me, makes sense. I mean, we've seen in the past where you dive deep, and if D.Va does then threaten that self-destruct, you can stay in the fray of things. Sanctification nullifies any potential to wipe the team, and you can make sure that you get ultimate uptime. So, hey, you can't get a Divine Shield on one person. How about a Divine Shield on potentially all 5 members themselves?
Yeah, exactly. Tyrael is one of those niche picks, but when you look at a comp and what they're trying to achieve, he can be the perfect solution for it. Whether that Judgment or, more often than not, definitely Sanctification, too good to pass up. That invulnerability, that ground, that safe zone that it applies is so, so good. Exactly right. It can completely nullify what D.Va is trying to achieve.
So this is the interesting predicament now. Where do they decide to go with this draft? Did they decide to lock in Ethereal? Did they decide to lock in their support right now? I mean, if you are on an Urbreak, you're looking to take down one of those crucial supports. Obviously, Rhaegar and Oriel getting really countered by this, as you can interrupt that Ancestral, putting on a 10-second cooldown. They do go for the Rhaegar, arguably the strongest pick with Ufa taking out the meta. Cyril is locked in, so I do know what I'm talking about, Vandie. Who would have guessed?
Yeah, definitely. It will create a nice safe space. He can also dive in with Genji. He's got some ability as well, so he can position well with Genji. And it's all going to be up to Johanna then to initiate that fight for them, really lock down those targets, get Genji in, get them nice and low, essentially. So you'd guess exactly what they're trying to achieve with their comp. And then on the other hand now, with NMD, it looks like they're going for a more poke-centric. So poke with Li Ming, and then if a fight comes, they can disengage with disengage with the Nubarak, but they can also initiate if they need to. It's going to be about splitting them up, getting one member picked off, and getting the resets going.
So if this was still the old patch, I'd be saying this is a definite Malfurion. The ability to then pocket heal as well as pocket innovate the Li Ming, allowing her to get maximum efficiency, locking in those targets, then complement both the Nubarak and D.Va. But as you mentioned, Malfurion has been changed over. Not this team, Ethereal feel comfortable to rock the new Malf. He has obviously been almost transitioned into a boomkin, but I mean, when I'm looking at Johanna pick, you have to question why would it not be the Arthas? Johanna, I mean, it's there for the wave clear. The Blessed Shield potentially having better engaged in the Howling Blast. But if you're all in about getting into their face, surely that Howling Blast and that Hungering Presence is going to, or Frost Presence would get more value. But let's talk about these two picks, Zeratul and Lieutenant Morales, Vandie.
Oh, okay. So Zeratul, interesting. It's going to be, once again, getting the pressure going, really having that invisible pressure on each lane, as well as setting up with Void Prism. Once again, it's all about controlling the fights, NMD. They want to fight on their grounds. They saw that Tyrael, and it's quite smart. If they can lock out Tyrael, there's going to be no saying Genji will be on his own, essentially, if he does go in. So how they play it out, very strategic. And that Morales, I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
I don't know if she can. She has a lot. Like, she's got a really nice front line, but Genji's really good at ducking past the front line, is all I'm thinking. But let's wait and see how it goes. I would have actually liked to see Malf. Nerfed as he is, he's just so anti-dive.
Right. I mean, they've got the Zeratul, right? So they got the VP for the setup, allows it to combine with both the Nubarak and Li Ming for the pre-choreographed Arcane Orb and missiles. D.Va then has a self-destruct. So, I mean, it would have been the ultimate wombo combo regardless of nerfing or not. They do go for Morales. I'm curious to see how much value that gets because, there's a lot of diving targets, as you already touched on. Potentially, Vandie, if they're feeling really aggressive, they have gone for the Tassadar. Maybe they even go for Judgment and make sure that they can commit. So what do they want to do? Do they want to play defensive with the Sanctification, or do they want to go full-on dive, boys?
They might go full dive, depending, like you said, Tyrael can set something up. It just takes a little bit of burst. Genji can go in there and done deal. It's all sealed. And that Tassadar, so everything is really banking on Genji to be that hyper carry, and then on the other side, they've got Li Ming to be their hyper carry with Zeratul supporting her. So interesting drafts by both teams.
So Vandie, I mean, we've got two different team comps here. So the side of Ethereal, really all about shrine control, about sustained ability to work around the bell towers and utilize the altars when they do come up. Flip side of that is, NMD are bringing the full-on aggression. They're going to need to look to try and find those kills early on, abuse the fact that they can get those 4v5s or even necessarily pick up a level advantage. Otherwise, I think they're going to start to struggle in the sustain department, especially because it's Luminum now on Lieutenant Morales.
Oh, that's exactly right, Skimmy. Just got to wait and see how it all plays out realistically. It's going to be who can hit 10 first as well. And then I feel whichever team can hit 10 first, they have the good potential to start snowballing the game in their favor. And that's really what you want on Towers of Doom. You really want to dictate the pace of the game.
Well, let's jump straight into it, Vandie. Week number 3 of the games. The playoffs here for ANZ Heroes of the Storm on the left-hand side, making their debut performance in the playoffs. It is Team NMD in the blue. Hiccup on Tyrael, Enagon on Johanna, Mudvayne on Tassadar, Hux on Rhaegar, and Physics on Genji.
And on the red team, we have Team Ethereal. We've got Crazometer on Anubarak, Touch Me on Zeratul, Sarah Lee playing D.Va, Greatness on Li Ming, and Luminum playing Lieutenant Morales.
Another team with a bunch of players that have been around in the scene for a very long time, finding a brand new roster, looking for more success. And if you made it to the playoffs, you're one step closer to realizing that. But both these teams got a lot to prove. And I mean, I'm just really curious how they can jump onto Lieutenant Morales.
It really is going to be all about that, getting a pick on both teams. So all in or nothing.
Wow.
Look at this. Physics popping that orb. Ooh.
Physics took a lot of damage to the face there, and so early on, it's gotta hurt. It's really gonna abuse the fact that she has the boosters. So frustrating. This is the reason people are so conflicted about this hero. Tychus, once upon a time, let's have story time with Skimmy. Once upon a time, Tychus had Odin, and Odin gave you a second health bar. Now, people complained, they cried, they said it was so damn OP, and quite rightly so. It gave you so much sustain and allowed you to bait out skill shots and damage for days. I mean, essentially, D.Va has achieved that same result, albeit less damage. Still, I mean, it depends where Blizzard decide to go with this game design philosophy.
there has been some interesting game design and interesting game choices by them, and I want to continue seeing them. I can't believe that's disgusting. With storytime with Skimmy, he would have been so strong.
Well, you know, I'm going to read that bedtime story to my son one day. Once upon a time, there was a hero called Tychus. But let's talk about this. Rotations are currently in favor of NMD, and they need to be. They need to establish these kills, because right now, I mean, Ethereal are all about controlling these ultis. They make sure, especially in that bot lane, when there's literally no way to run, that's where they're going to want to put all their money in.
That's exactly it, Skimmy. And controlling those sapper camps as well to help give you so much pressure. Any chance you can get them, go. Both teams have drafted quite interestingly in terms of the wave clear, like you said. I think NMD have a slight advantage in terms of that, in terms of slightly better wave clear, but really, neither team's going to have much issue clearing the waves and then going for the camps. And look at this. An invade by Touch Me. He wanted to see their location, see what they were up to, see if they could make a play.
Such interesting decision making. They all went to the bottom lane. I bet the two in the top lane, Tess and Diva. But then they transitioned NMD. They went for their sappers, essentially to say, we don't care about that bottom one. You can have it for free. Greatness picked that one up for free. And the other two were achieved by the solo laners. So a trade-off there for the sappers. If they can escort them in, Hiccup is the sole member. You know, potentially it's going to be worth it. Otherwise, I have to question that play.
Well, Hiccup versus Ming's clear, which at times isn't the best. It's going to be some value right there. And as I said, it's not so important to get those early game ones. It's all about getting the bell towers down. Then you fight for those altars, because really, that's when it can count. And as you said, 21 shots. That's the dream, really.
Well, we're even, Steven, when it comes to the XP, still bouncing between lanes. It's a bit of an interesting variation, Vandie. A lot of different talents across the board. We've got the pure Smite build coming out here for Hiccup, which would indicate potentially they're going to go for the Judgment. Straight away, damage on towards Luminum, looking for that dive 310. Can they get the kill? HotS in the front lane with the Lightning Shield. He's going to get jumped upon by Touch Me, who is looking to touch him. And now he needs to get some touching on him as well from Luminum, who gets the healing across, gets the ability to get them back into the fight. And then the window has passed, the train has left the station.
That's the right kind of touching, isn't it? The one of your Lieutenant Morales, but really they're still hungry for the kills here.
Oh, there we go, Vandie, still looking for more blood. First blood does go across. Li Ming doing some damage with those orbs, getting the kill onto Rhaegar and forcing sustain. And this is what we talked about. You know, if Lieutenant Morales does not die, they out-sustain, and they just win.
Correct, Skimmy. That's exactly all I was going to say. Healbot doing her job perfectly. Luminum lived, tapped on the well, came back into the fight, and then it was really just my health bar versus your health bars. We've got our medic here. She's just going to heal us for days.
So the orb build from Li Ming really sort of solidifying this idea that they want altar control. And I can't stress this enough, NMD need to look for these kills. I mean, Chrysometer's going to go for the invade. Sappers have respawned on that left-hand side of the map. But they have so much sustain, so much poking potential, and Touch Me there for that straggling member that thinks they are safe. But Enagon right now in the front line looking to try and achieve something. HotS is going to pick up the camp. The brawl does break out, trying to find skirmishes. The team fight is a little bit broken up here. Touch Me versus Physics in the bottom hand side of your screen there. He's looking for the kill, but Swift Strike was on cooldown and could not get the execution. Fight is now surrounding this middle altar, and it's really the first self-destruct of the game. That is all about point control, and that's what they're going to be so careful about.
Oh, but look, there's still some stall and some fight coming out now from NMD. They're not done yet.
This is where it gets hasty though, because I say NMD are just slowly going to get watered away by health pools and mana reserves. Luminum is beginning that channel. Hiccup forced to jump in there with the Eldritch to Might. Mudvayne taking a lot of damage. Dimensional shift very early on, but Hiccup is so low on health. Waiting for that chain heal, but it's not going to be enough. He's going to have to get that well tap. It's already going in for the cap once again. And one by one these members walk in, Vandie. I mean, this is looking grim for NMD.
It really is, because even though they're stalling with nothing. They're just wasting their mana. But oh, Crazometer almost dying there until Luminum could then bring him back to life. It's all about that positioning as well. They really need to be careful. And certainly not a care in the world. Staying in pilot mode to get that extra damage as well. Can call the mech anytime as long as no CC lands on it.
Well, NMD have been doing a good job here. They've limited down Luminum to about half of his mana reserve. Now Greatness actually going to be aggressed upon. Physics is jumping into the backline. They're looking for the kill. There goes the Barrow Charge from Crazometer. Once again, a flank on the side. Touch Me looking for Mudvayne, who's forced very early on to retreat. Same with Hiccup now. It's the same story. Ethereal really getting the pressure. Got sustained once again through Luminum. And Mudvayne is the first one to fall. The stalemate finally finds an entry. And Ethereal picking up another bell tower, Vandie.
And Luminum's mana bar as well finally goes down in that exchange. He is sharp. And Healbot getting so much value. So really, we can see this play continues on with protecting the medic, letting him sit back, letting him heal him while they poke. It's a good setup, Skimmy, really.
This is what I'm concerned about. They need to hit level 10. Once they've got level 10 on their side, then we're going to be able to see the true potential of how NMD are looking to try and take down this medic. Because right now, it's proving to be a problem. If they can't get those executions, they are just getting out-sustained.
Really, they are. It's all going to come down to that. They need to unravel or just push out Morales on those team fights to actually have a chance. Otherwise, like you said, it's just going to be a battle for days. But on the side of NMD, they do have a double support comp, really. They have shields for days as well from Tassida and Tyrael, which can help mitigate a lot of the damage. That's why they stayed in that fight as well, as long as they did.
Yeah, it's an interesting hybrid hyper carry, if you will. I mean, a lot of this is going around onto physics, but it's no Valor, it's no Greyman, it's not what you traditionally expect to see, and Genji's not essentially going to be achieving the sort of same capacity that you'd find otherwise. But I mean, a lot of these talents are so damn interesting. We've got Fast Sight from Rhaegar. I don't think we've seen that in such a long time. Cleanse, I mean, arguable, where would it find value? Potentially against the Anubarak, but level 10 has been locked in first by Ethereal. A 4-level lead for them. Pretty standard stuff across the board, but we do have the big shot. And we know how much that is going to impact these team fights.
That's right. Really get D.Va in that mech as much as possible, but Tenna as well acquired on NMD.
Well, it's a 5v4 because we can see that Touch Me is rotating on down. Cocoon coming out very early on. Still, no Tesla on site. It's going to stick around here. Self-destruct has been popped. Sanctification. Beautiful stuff there. But Rhaegar, where are you? Running from the team, taking up a free. The fight continues. They are now looking to try and take out an Aegon. Iron Skin popped very early on, but he's going to run and separate himself from the team as well. Beautiful grenade, not to mention the damage. Tyrael gone. Second frontliner gone. NMD just getting taken down piece by piece. And Ethereal, they've got a statement to make.
Ethereal didn't have a care in the world. Genji, Dragon Bladed, and instantly flip, Cocoon. There you go, timeout now for yourself. And what, your team members want to try break you out of it? Oh, we're going to self-destruct now. Oh, and look, Rhaegar's caught in there. That's really how the fight went. It was dictated entirely on Ethereal's ground.
Nope, first battle tower of the game does go in favor of Ethereal, who now are quite comfortably in the lead here. They've got the bell tower shot. So the altar shots, a current lead of 36-24 on that core health. They've had the ability to stick around in terms of level lead as well. But once again, here comes the trouble. This time a 5v5 as Mudvayne now does join the fray. And you can see that NMD wanting to try and force it before that level 13 power spike.
They do, but I don't know if they can, because they might just... It's going to be about getting someone out of position. And the way Ethereal's grouping at the moment is, big self-destruct maybe.
Such a zoning ultimate. Dimensional shift is used to negate that. HotS is in the backline still. He needs heals, and Aegon is low. Ancestral! It does get interrupted. Beautiful VB to ensure that the other two members could not do anything. No shield from Tesla. The pop comes across. Greatness dropping the orcs, but he's now out of mana. No way for him to stick around. Physics, he's got the deflect up. He's on the 2v1 situation. Touch Me still diving deep. He can't find the finishing blow, and Sreli going for the back end. Sanctification finally comes to cooldown. 3 members underwater to the bell tower. Second time with the ancestral. Rhaegar drops to the grave, but he does keep his support alive. And Vandie, 13 has been hit, and NMD lose another skirmish.
Oh, that feels bad. If Aegon was able to receive the ancestral healing, perhaps another story could be said for the fight, but it just came a little bit too late, and it was all thanks to the D.Va splitting off. And Johanna can only take so much, even with Iron Skin. She can only delay for so long, really needing that heal to connect. And after that, it was just all of them waiting once again around the cocoon. No one's going to come save you, Physics. It's all up to you. And I'm really liking the Zeratel and the way it's playing, because the Singularity Spike able to follow Genji after he dashes out, pretty good.
Riddle me this, Vandie. I mean, you've got Genji and Zeratul both looking to sort of achieve the same result, right? They want to flank or they want to pick somebody off in the backline. The major difference I'm noticing here is the amount of control that Touch Me is being sort of allowed. I mean, you got the cocoon, obviously, but then you got the follow-up damage from Greatness. Right now, Genji, or Physics for that matter, is trying to do so much on his own, but the follow-up is just not there. He can't 1v5, he can't find the kills, and it's really proving to be a problem. NMD need to think of a solution right now to his medic fast.
That's exactly it. The Genji is just not able to do the hyper carry roll. He's just getting knocked out completely. There's just so much in Ethereal's arsenal to stop him.
Well, the Blessed Shield comes across there, but to no great effect. It was mainly used as a deterrent to stop that fight. It's a bit cooldown gone with little to no effect. And they're starting to get whittled away once again. Chrosometer in the front line doesn't even care. The Safeguard comes across, a huge orb smacking 3 members of the backline of NMD. That keeps them toasty, but actually HotS there on Rhaegar. Chain Hill will achieve a lot of value in topping up those members. But now, another altar is spawned. Arguably the best altar spawned for Ethereal in this bottom lane where the choke spots are huge.
Yeah, we can see the members of NMD now filtering in.
I mean, the combos there, Vandie, the VP potential for the self-destruct compilation. It could be pretty filthy if it does pop off, but that bell tower is very low. And you can see that they want to try and get that siege on before they go for the scap.
That's correct. If they can get that, it's another couple of points. But really, NMD, they sense that. They want to fight while Zeratul is distracted with their ulti, but I think the moment's gone.
Well, back in the back line, once again, greatness, achieving greatness. These orbs have been getting so much value all game long. Straight in the front line, once again, he may look to use the self-destruct here, zoning him, saying, where do you want to go? Front line or back line? Genji gone! No deflect, and pop goes the Weasel. Johanna gone as well. 2 members drop into the bell tower. Pick that one up for the absolute robbing in of those wounds. And Ethereal just dominating this game.
Look at how untouched the backline is. Really, there's no one on greatness, there's no one on Luminum. Instantly, every time the focus from NMD tries to go to one of these heroes, it's just getting shut down. Skimmy and Nubrak, just so good. Diva, the self-destructs have been so on point every fight. It's so good to see, but really, if you're NMD, now what do you do? Where do you go from here? It really needs to be, perhaps they need to pick a lane. Now they need to start using perhaps some of that mobility that Genji can have, pushing out the lanes, getting Ethereal to respond to their push instead of responding to it. Because this is when it starts to get dangerous on Towers of Doom.
We need that hyper-aggression. I mean, as soon as they started playing passively, they just looked like even weaker than they were otherwise. And right now, I mean, they're getting poked down for days, and by the time they decide to sort of force a fight out of desperation, if anything, you know, you saw Genji there get popped when he tried to go in, just a single orb to the face, and that's all it took. And right now, control of this map is all in favour of Ethereal, who are level 16. NMD not too far behind, but it's their game to lose now.
NMD have done a really good job of, even though they've been losing these fights, they haven't been losing on experience. They have been keeping relatively on par the entire game. So that is definitely working in their favor, but what's wrong with their comp is that they aren't able to play the way they needed to, which is hyper-aggressive. They needed to get this fixed. They needed to make plays instead of having plays when they were them. But I just don't see it. Like even with the sanctification, like, it's just getting no value. Perhaps Judgment would have been better.
Well, I mean, the build indicates that he's going for Judgment. He's gone for Sanctification, potentially respecting too much of that self-destruct, saying, oh, we need to play passively, but sometimes, as they always say, the old coin phrase, the best offense, well, actually, the best defense is a good offense. But here we go, once again, triple altar phase has spawned all the pressure in the world from NMD in this top side. Genji sneaks it in the bot lane, self-destruct going up once again, Hiccup in the front lane, self-destruct pops, but Sanctification nullifies it, and they got in the back line, pilot mode, bang! Big shot to the face, and he's gone. Cocoon in the front line there on towards Genji. He's going to get jumped upon in a heartbeat. Ollie Graham coming across. VP interrupting the orb. A bit of negative synergy, if anything. And Touch Me, well, he touched Genji, and he is gone. It's the same story once again, one by one. HotS looking for the clutch Ancestral, but Vandie, it just was not enough.
HotS trying his best, really. Every time he gets a target, it just getting roasted down. That is the power of Li Ning, and especially more so because she has gone that Arcane Orb build. There's really no reason why she cannot. It's such a strong frontline on a map like this where there's relatively no interruptions in the lane. There's nothing she can really hit besides the enemy team.
I love what they just did there. They waited, Touch Me waited for that order capture until they completed the bell tower on mid lane, achieving so much more value. 4 shots left on that core. Essentially, they can rush boss and it's GG.
That's exactly it. And they had all the time in the world to do it. It was their altar on their side of the map. And with respawn time being as long as they could, no reason why they couldn't have made a rush for it. And I just feel so bad for NMD.
Now, it depends how they decide to play this one. Wow, they do get one shot from the triple cap just as top lane is reclaimed by NMD. I mean, if I was a strategist here, I'd be thinking just keep control of these sappers, 3 sappers, 3 shots to the core. And, I mean, if you pop the Sanctification, those sappers can't attack you. They have to go straight for the core. So, I mean, there's a bit of counter synergy that could potentially come out here from Hiccup, depending on how he plays it.
Yeah, he might just panic and actually secure the victory here. Let's see how it goes. That's the strategy coming out now. These sappers, 3 points.
That is a sweaty self-destruct in the back line. It's forcing him to go straight to the front line. The Dimensional Shift is used so early on, but Vandie is popped down low. He's close to the outcome for, but it's just not enough. Sanctification coming immediately after the VP falls on down, but the damage was done. Finally, they get medic. Is it too little, too late? HotS on 100 health. He's gone. Genji's gone left, right, and center. They are falling like warriors. So Nagon and Hiccup, the only warriors left in this equation left. Joanna there, and Hiccup. Oh, he's going to try and cheat a miracle. He gets cocooned. The cannons are firing. They're acting as the second member in this team fight, but he gets smacked in the face. Road rage from Korea. Believe me. Wrecked. GG is the call by Hiccup. And one shot is all it takes.
That's a personal victory right there. to catch poor Ming on the back. Greatness. Just not paying attention to the screen. Really forgetting. No respect on the Ethereal passive. But they just need one more shot. One sapper did fall on that. The other 2 got escorted in. But boss is open. Altars are spawning. This is going to be definitely Ethereal's game.
Definitely. You can see Touch Me starting the boss, and Cirelli looks like, watch yourself, mate. No stylish plays needed. We just pick this up, we win the game, and it's all said and done. They're going to go for the invade, actually. Mudvayne at the very last second there does get the damage to the Sonic Storm. He's going to force that Dimensional Shift out very early on. Physics going to do whatever he can to try and clutch. It does not matter. Aluminum on the right-hand side, getting the capture. Game number 1. Solid performance here by Ethereal.
Definitely well played by both teams, but Ethereal showing us how it's done on Towers of Doom. Really, really well played, and using a comp that I haven't really seen executed before. So very, very exciting to see D.Va come out on that and execute so nicely.
Yeah, I love their draft, the ability for them to realize what their conditions are and how to play it, and the fact that, you know, NMD didn't have any answer really for the most part of that game. They weren't able to respond. They weren't able to get the kills that they needed to sustain or sort of develop a lead in the early game. And it really bit them hard, and that's what's resulted in 17 kills to 2, Vandie. Let's talk about the MVP nominations, though. Obviously, a few standout performances from a lot of these members. Well, you know, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts before we jump into anything too serious.
No worries. So a couple of plays that caught my eye. Sarah Lee, those self-destructs were so on point. Really, really beautiful. I could not fault any of them. Positioning, so well done. Defense matrix coming out instantly when Genji was dragon blading. Crazometer, same reasons. When the self-destruct was out, using Impale to really get some value out of that. Just lock up targets. And then the Cocoon, so on point, and Greatness as well for the poke. Luminum, they all played so well, but definitely the highlights that I was seeing was coming out of Sarah Lee and Crazometer in that game.
Well, I'm going to have to give it to Cirelli personally, because, I mean, those self-destructs were achieving so much value, and the fact that it actually baited out the Sanctification when I mean, I think it should have been a judgment. Really is a testament to how Cirelli performed that one. So congratulations, Cirelli. Game number 1 in this playoffs. Week number 3 does go in favor of you. But that does it for game number 1. More Heroes of the Storm after this. We're just waiting for that next lobby to get made.